Otsukimi, and I'm here to share three strategies, three big, obvious trading strategies that 99% of you guys won't do. And one of the reasons I'm trying to also share this is because these are very profitable and simple strategies that people just don't take into consideration. And all of these strategies that I've mentioned many times throughout the years, and one of them really I've mentioned like several times in the past month even, that most of you guys seem to ignore, and 99% of people don't even follow. And so this matters to me because when push comes to shove, when the bull market gets into full effect again, if it does, and it should, I think it will. I think most people that are still here thinks that it will. Um, I don't want you to look back and regret just not watching this video. I don't want to regret not telling anyone. And so, if people choose to ignore these strategies, it's on their own terms, right? So, these are very effective. I can't tell you how effective these are, and how 99% of the people are going to ignore them because they're going to be too focused on the micro moves. They're too focused on these silly meetings that don't have nothing to do with nothing. 2 months or 2 hours rather after they happen, and so people get lost in the noise. They get lost in the woods, and so these are very simple strategies that will help you. It should help you succeed. It should help you gain profits. Like don't make things hard on you, right? So, um, anyway, a brief detour. If you're not familiar with me, most of you are, but I go by Crypto Osakimi. You probably are familiar with my Twitter, my YouTube. I also have a Discord that's more for private members. But just kind of sharing things out there. I do have a private group called Apex Academy. It's a 12-week course. I have closed off membership for a per month basis because the first month is almost done. It's only designed to last 3 months. If you have not signed up, I'll leave a link down below. You can check that out. I'm only accepting 12-week memberships at this time, which is the full membership. So you would be paying everything at once. So it is a little higher price than if you would have got the monthly package. But I am running a promo until the end of this year. If you use promo code Christmas, just spelled as it would be normally, you get $40 off that membership. So link is down below in the description. I also have a lot of things coming up. I have free videos. I have the Observations with Otsu video, which is on Monday mornings, roughly right around 12 hours after the weekly open, I should say. Typically on Wednesdays, I have casual crypto and coffee. I haven't had it for the past week and a half because I've been sick, and so I've been prioritizing my health, and also having a good voice to try to record those videos. So the observations, the weekly open videos are usually about 30 minutes. The casual crypto and coffee runs about an hour, and that's by design. I have a more casual video, so to speak, to kind of share my thoughts as I would normally looking at the charts. This is one of the first videos where it's more topical in nature. I'm going to have a lot of these coming out more, so you can expect an onslaught of free videos. I'm at 2 free videos per week. I'm looking to get about 4, a minimum of 3, but definitely trying to get 4 free videos a week. And then I also got the Apex Academy group. I'm running about 5 hours of video per week. It's quite a lot. Most people are saying like, hey, this is too much, and especially how detailed they are. They have to watch the same video. Some guy today said they watched the video 4 to 5 times. And so they're highly detailed. So that's a group that's way more in depth than you think it is. And so that's one thing as well. I'm also going to have some private videos separate of the academy and my free ones. That's to be determined, but that's going to be a lot of those topical based or basically videos that are based off of what you want to see, and that way I can explain them. So that way I can be kind of a mini assistant to you as you trade. And so I'm also going to have part of the Apex Academy is I have the Aroon bot system, which it's been very successful so far. It's going to get a massive 2.0 upgrade, which will be integrated into something I'm calling Aroon Pro. And so Aroon Pro is going to be a series of service bots that are going to come out probably in late February to early March. And those will have individual memberships and things like that. So I got a lot of stuff coming. If you are familiar with my work and you like my work, please subscribe to this channel, and especially here and Twitter, which you probably are already if you're familiar with my work. So stay tuned. I got a ton of work. I got a ton of stuff coming out. It's unbelievable. All right, so what are these three strategies, and why will 99% of people not listen to them? Well, it's pretty obvious. So the first one is going to be high time frame long positions. And I know this is very, very boring, and some of you, I'd say at least 25% of you just now have already just tuned off in your head as far as like how silly that sounds, right? Like everybody knows about high time frame positions, right? And people, people talk about it all the time. It's a newbie thing, whatever. And I've mentioned this so many times. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. I've shared this. Look at the high time frames for high time frame long positions, and this right here is a perfect example. So let's take the past 2 years. We'll turn on this EMA, and we'll even change this to 50. All right, so we have the EMA 50, right? And if you're tuning out, I really advise you not to, because I can already sense that this is just silly, this is dumb, this is for new people, and I'm going to explain why it's not. Okay, so you had your first entry here, right? And you can kind of see on this chart, we had an entry here on April of 2020, April 26, 2020. So let's say you entered here, right? You entered a long position here, and it's just a spot position. So, okay, this is your marker. Ignore this for now. We're going to zoom out, and let's say you just buy above the 50, and then you sell below the 50. Simple as that, right? You got a 365 gain percentage over roughly one year. It's, let's see, it's about slightly over a year, I think. Let's see, date range. So slightly, 386 days. Now, this sounds dumb offhand, right? And the reason you probably think so is because, well, I can make more than that. Like, I can make 20% in one day. Like, I see P&L charts all the time with people making 150%, 3,000%, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, okay, well, show it to me. Did you, if you were here, if you were in crypto by this long, and you've made it to here, did you make 3.6x? And if the answer is no, then you are failing the market. You are not doing as good as a newbie trader is doing. And that's just as simple as it gets. I understand there's more advanced ways to do it. There's more ways to make more money than that. I'm very understanding of how that works. But this is something that's very simple. Like, look back at this time period, and did you make a 3.6x on your portfolio? If the answer is no, you should be doing this instead, okay? Or at least you should be hedging in this regard. And it baffles my mind the amount of people I will present this to, and they'll say, "Hey, I didn't make that much money. I didn't make this amount of money," even though you had all of this to work with. People claim about how this bull market is so legendary. You're gonna make so much freaking money. It's not gonna be. You're not even gonna believe it, right? But then they don't even make 3-4x. So I need that to be considered. That is a main strategy that can be useful, and most people ignore it because it's too easy, right? And so that's the thing. What I see a big consistency of people trying to make trading harder than it should be, and it's really not that hard. Trading actually is not that hard at all. The hardest part of trading is you. You are the hardest factor about yourself. And that part is dealing with your emotions, dealing with your greed, dealing with your fear. and trying to do more things than you really should be. When it's really just as simple. This is you could make more money off of this than just the stock market. It and just that kind of move. And so we can look here. Um, let's get rid of all this. And so obviously, if you go from here to here, you basically break even. Let's say you lose 5%. You go through here to here. Let's say you lose another 3%. So let's just round that up to 10, right? Let's make it fair. So you go in and out of here, but let's say even if you take the benefit of the doubt, you lose another 11%. So you had 360 here, and then you lost 20%. So now you're down to 340%, right? And the math works a little differently when you got the portfolio, but you see what I'm saying. But let's say you got out of here, right? And you spared yourself. Okay, you got chopped out here, but you would have been out since 43,000, and you would have missed all of this, right? So that being said, you would have spared yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of headache if you just focus on the macro high time frame trend perspective. It's really really easy. I can't explain how easy this is, and I can guarantee that 99% of the people won't do it, even though it's like one of the easiest things that you can do. All right, so the second strategy that 99% of you won't do is looking at altcoins with Bitcoin pairs. Now, this is something that's very simple in hindsight. Again, this is something that people talk about. Let's get rid of all this here. It's the same DNA as the high time frame spot positions. Everybody talks about it, how great of a strategy is. Nobody uses it. I never see it talked about ever, right? I do see Bitcoin pairs talked about, usually in reference to Bitcoin and Ethereum. But let's take a look. Let's take a look here for a second. All right, so you got the ETH Bitcoin pair, and you can do the same thing with the EMA 50. You can also use the Aroon color band. This works very well. It's something that I use a lot. You can also use this for the high time frame trade as well. The band works very similar to the EMA 50. It's not part of an EMA 50, but it's very similar. So you can use EMA 50 as a generic guide. Let's go back. And so let's go ahead and toggle this off. You can look on the EMA 50. So this is the ETH BTC chart. And what this is telling me is that when the price is above the EMA 50, that is telling me that Ethereum is stronger than Bitcoin. When it's below the 50, that is telling me that Bitcoin is stronger than Ethereum. So when you have things like this, if you want to enter a trade here, let's say you're long in Ethereum versus the US dollar, and you're long in it here back in 2017, you would have gained, let's say at the very top, it's a 10x, right? If you even would have got out here, you would have made 277%. But on the flip side, the point is that you made 277% over Bitcoin value. So it doesn't matter what the price was for Ethereum. It matters that you have almost a 3x more in Bitcoin. So that's a rough example, right? But when you have something like this here, it would have been advantageous to focus on Bitcoin at the start of July of 18 and not really have a strong focus on it until maybe here in 2020. And so you have some discrepancies here, but generally speaking, from this point on, until earlier this year, you would have made 118% versus Bitcoin. The reason this is important, and a lot of this is arbitrary, but the reason this is important is because a lot of you guys are focusing on Ethereum pairs or Ethereum or like altcoins on stablecoin pairs, and you're not making any money. You're not really making the money that you think that you are. So for example, like if you're trading Ethereum or you're trading like something like Chainlink, for example, so let's say you made some money in here Um, but if you look at the Bitcoin chart, let's go to Binance here. You can see it behaves very differently, right? So if you're making money with Chainlink, for example, on the U.S. pair, U.S. dollar pair, or Tether, or whatever stablecoin you're using, and then you compare that dollar value that you gain compared to the Bitcoin value of that, you will realize in many cases that your Bitcoin value is actually the same or even less. I've seen it. I've done it myself, where I've traded Tether and other stablecoin pairs. I've seen other people do it. Most people that talk about their trades are doing it in US dollar pair. And you will find often that you're not making as much money as you think that you are. And so what you want to focus on is that when you're trading altcoins, and this is mainly, this is very important, especially in the bear market or the bull market, but it is special in all markets as well. If you if you are wanting to trade a coin like Chainlink, or let's just say like CHZ, for example, CHZ BTC. So we had something here, and this is a lot of World Cup stuff, right, going on. You can see here where CHZ was more impactful than Bitcoin while it was above the 50, and less impactful while it's below. And so what you can see here is when it's above, it is beneficial to trade CHZ over Bitcoin. And the thing is like, if it's below, you shouldn't really be messing with it in a very long-term strategy, or you just need to be careful, because what this also means as an inverse, Bitcoin is stronger than CHZ. So what you could do is just trade BTC. That's about as cut and paste as it gets. So this strategy here is about leveraging the appropriate tokens at the appropriate times. And there is a certain time and place to trade altcoins. But in many cases, you need to check the Bitcoin pair to do it. If it is weak versus Bitcoin, it is better for you to trade Bitcoin, both in terms of money that you might be gaining, but also time that you're spending as well. So that's the second strategy that 99% of people probably won't do. The third strategy that most people won't do is a strategy that I've talked about very vigorously. I've had a lot of debates on it, and it's RSI divergences. It's very clean, very cut. All three of these strategies are very simple strategies that are not being utilized, and not only are not being utilized, but strategies that people are not like they're willing to debate me on. And it's just like, I'm showing you very easy ways to make money. Okay, it doesn't get easier than this. It really doesn't. And it's like people want to make things hard to make them sound smart, or to make them sound intelligent, or they like putting in the work. And it's like, you don't have to put in as much work as you think you do. RSI divergences are a clear example. Let's get rid of the EMA here. And the biggest thing I want you guys to know about RSI divergences is that it's when you focus on things relative to their tops and bottoms, you'll find that RSI divergences are always present. So the biggest example right here is right here at the top. I've mentioned this so many times. I've mentioned this like 10 different times. We had a clear as day divergence on here on the 1 day. We also had it on the 3 weeks. I've even had people debate. I've had so many people debate me on this. There's a divergence here as well. Okay, matches up with this. I've had so many people debate me on this and say that I am flat out wrong. I've had people say that, yeah, it works in hindsight, but it never works in real time. Like, you can see it in real time, you just don't want to see it in real time. I've even had people debate me as like, I had one person debate me on the time frames. It's like, well, it's valid on the 3 week, but not on the 2 week. So it's like, oh, you're wrong. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, like the different time frames are there for a reason. If one thing worked on one time frame and not on the other, then there's no point to even look at the charts. There's no point to look at time frames, right? So And this is a clear cut example. We had a major divergence on the 3 week, and it's like, well, well, first of all, most people didn't even see this. Second of all, the people that did were like, well, Bitcoin just made a new high, so screw you, basically. Long story short. The thing is that this works. This works in foresight. You don't need hindsight to look at this. I can see right here that we made a newer high, and we had a much lower low. That tells me that the strength and momentum is massively weak. Okay, you can see this in real time. You just don't want to see it in real time. Most people don't want to see this. And they don't want to see this because they'd rather this go up to 100K, and so they can be filthy rich and they can retire on their yacht and all this other bull crap. And I'm telling you, this is such an easy, simple strategy. All you have to do is look for it. Okay? So we know that it eventually went down. And here's the thing, like, even if this, like, when this would eventually come down, see if it goes to the next candle. So you could have got out here. I mean, that's probably what I would have told you. And yeah, it would have went up 5,000 more, but now you would have lost all that. See, and so even if you decide to wait for there to be a drop, this is your sign to get out. 50 grand, and I bet you didn't. I bet most people did not. Not trying to make fun of anybody. I'm just saying, like, divergences are so they're so advantageous to take advantage of. Let's see if we can go here on the 3-day, or maybe it's the 2-day. And see, this is where, like, people you're looking for different divergences of different time frames. Yeah, that's the point. I look at different time frames at all times. Every week I look at 1 week, 2-day, 1 day, 3-day, 4-day. And I look for a divergence, and if it's there, it makes sense. What I can see here is we had a divergence here. First time we made it into the 60,000 range, we had another divergence here. That was another one. We had a bullish divergence here. Nobody seemed to care about that one. I was pretty vocal about that as well. This is the divergence on a different time frame, but that one didn't work out on this one. But you see what I'm saying? Like, we've gotten 3 major divergences that gave us 3 key insights for the past year and a half. So it's really that simple. It literally is that simple. We had this. We also had this here on the bottom in late 2018 to signify the bottom. In many cases, we have a divergence in very obvious spots. There is another one somewhere, I think. I think it's right here on a lower time frame. But you get the idea, right? And so it's something to look out for. It's not always going to be, especially on lower time frames, it will have different consistencies as far as, like, it might not be the top or the bottom, but it might be the local top or the local bottom. But as far as, like, 1 day and higher time frames, those should not be ignored at all. So anyway, those are the 3 strategies. I firmly, based off of my experience and what I've told people, most people have ignored these. I've seen people tell me, I've seen people reply and say things like, hey, I didn't make as much money as I would have if I would have just did a strategy like this. So anyway, those are the 3 strategies. I still believe that 99% of the people won't do them. But this is kind of my video to share, like, hey, you probably should, because this is probably a better way to make money than what most people are currently doing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe. I'll see you next time.